Hey guys, it's Angel. Welcome back to the channel, and today we're taking a little country trip out here in West Virginia. We're flying from Valley Point out to the beautiful Cheat Island, which is a strip made by Kev, once again, photos by Kev. The link will be in the description for his add-on airport. This is actually a standard one we're starting at, but it's only a short distance away. Now, we'll be flying out that way in a very short moment, but of course, it's going to be a little VFR trip. We're taking the Husky, and of course, since Sim Update is 6, some things did change with this, so we'll get the engine started and I'll tell you about that in a moment, but...
Caution, low oil pressure.
Yep, thank you very much for that, airplane. Okay, we're good there. Now, of course, the light's not too bad today, but I do want to actually boost this up, so... Tools, lighting config. Let's just boost that up a nice little bit there, and go back to our map. And we'll want to actually change this because of the stupid sim doing its routine. And we'll go to Papa Zulu 5-2. Not the real ICO, but it doesn't actually have one, so this actually gives us that as an option, which is a lot nicer when I have the compass rose turned on there, which you can get to here in the settings, and you can change data fields, which is actually a really cool feature on this one, which gives us the actual compass rose, which is useful because we only have that one up there typically, unless you use synth vision, so it's nice to be able to have that on that central field. Now if you want to do it in here, you go to this page, click on the center button, scroll down to brightness, click it again, roll that bad boy to wherever you want it to be. We're going to go for 5, and then I'm going to hit exit. So now we have a nice bright set of instruments in case you're having any visibility issues. That is how you do it in this plane. Speaking of which, let's get rocking and rolling, shall we? Right, so we'll taxi out gently here and get ourselves going from the beautiful Valley Point with the West Virginia countryside rolling down to our side. Let's get ourselves turned around. Standard buildings, unfortunately, but there you go. Sometimes you can't be a winner, but some of these airports in the sim by default are really pretty. Now we're going to be back taxiing for 2.6 today because of the wind direction. We're getting about 4 knots from 316 degrees, so should be okay. Valley Point traffic, November 403 Sierra X-ray, entering runway back taxi 26 for departure to the west. I know there's nothing coming, so I'm clear. I'm going to enter the runway and taxi backwards. Now, this is a bit of a slope. We're going to be taking off uphill, which is not ideal, but I'd rather that than have mostly a 4-knot tailwind. Now, as you know, I use the hat switch for my views, which is not going to last for much longer. I will have some news in an upcoming video for you, because a company has very generously actually offered me a tracking system, and I'll be reviewing that in an upcoming video for you guys so you can see what it's all about and see how it performs, and see if you want one for yourself, because with what I've seen looking into it, it looks like an incredibly good system. So you'll have some news on that from me as we nearly have a bit of a moment there. Let's get the baby turned around here. I don't want to ground loop it, so we'll just do it nice and gently. Valley Point traffic, November 403 Sierra X-ray, departure runway 26 to the west. Let's get my tail up. We don't need a ton of power in this thing. We still have the engine mod in here, which makes it like one of the higher performance Huskies, but it does change some of the numbers a little bit, so not brilliant, but I actually quite like it. It adds a lot of power, gives it a lot more capability, but I'm thinking of going back to the standard variant actually. Let's punch the power up here, keep our RPM in the nice window. Now that was a departure without flaps, of course, so this plane really is kind of capable, to be honest, a lot of times. So we're going to turn ourselves on course here, southbound. We're going to head towards the Cheat River and follow that south. We'll pass Kingwood and Rowellsburg right just before we get to our location of Cheat Island. Now, there's only meant to be one strip here, but what I see is 2, not 1. And we'll have a little interesting approach here, because one of them lets us do a side or a curved final into a landing, which should be a lot of fun for us. So we'll head south here till we catch the river, which is showing up on our map down there. And having that compass rose feature, by the way, on the central screen of this system, I think is a really cool and very useful feature, which allows me to see my heading a lot easier. Because obviously compass rose there, it's not a full heading, it's just a compass, which is enough in most cases, but this at least gives me an actual straight up heading, which is super, super nice to be able to have. And as you can see, the brightness on those instrument panels, very useful there for us. So we'll set our manifold pressure here as we want it, and we'll set our RPM. Not too nutty, but more than enough. This plane will shift along at a good clip, so it is nice to be able to have. Obviously changing those data fields on that central screen will change what you actually have to work with here. And we're not too low down, but we're not too high up either, and that's the river just ahead of us. We'll be following that south, so you'll notice the valley down below here is the river valley we're following. Gotta say, not flown in West Virginia before, and this countryside is stunning. I'm trying to go to as many places around the world as possible, and it's just... America has so many different environments and landscapes, and places I just haven't flown before, and I've been a simmer for years. Nigh on 15 years almost at this point, and probably, okay, 10, 12 if I'm being realistic. Casual playing on Sims when I was younger doesn't really count. Let's say about 10 years solid, and I stuck to places that I knew, I stuck to places that had good scenery and good features, but I will say, everyone slangs off 2020 for so many things, but there are some stunning places to visit that I would never have come to before. And it's often the scenery developers out there who put out these gorgeous little fields and strips that make me want to visit those locations, and we actually get to see some of these. So, you can thank them. And there's the Cheat River right below us. Winding through the West Virginia hills. Right down here. Whew. News-wise, there is a lot of stuff coming, and I'm kind of excited. I know you guys are too. We have some really awesome aircraft coming out in the very near future, including things like the Dash 8. They've got the Cessna 310, imminent Quest Kodiak, Twin Otter. I think a lot of developers were holding. In fact, Coronado's 337 is apparently imminent, as in any day now, which is funny, seeing as the last news we had from that was August. But I think a lot of developers were waiting for Sim Update 6 to see if it did anything like the damage that 5 did. But I don't see that occurring, so I'm pretty sure that we'll be seeing a flurry of releases soon, especially in the lead up to the holidays. Look at this. This is so nice. Beautiful West Virginia countryside. There's so much relief, so much topography out here that I just really didn't expect. You see the power lines down there climbing up the hillside. Just follow this river southbound, and we'll be good. Now we'll go past Dawson Army Air Force Base just down ahead. I think that's it, just in our distance there. Getting a little bit of chop right now. Okay, we've got 4 knots, but it is kind of meant to be slightly changeable. And we'll be getting a little bit of something off the terrain around us, but not a lot. So the little bit of chop is likely to just be the wind going up and down, as we've got largely kind of a flat terrain apart from these river valleys, which means you're going to get air going down into them and kicking up again. Yeah, that'll be Dawson up ahead of us, so we're going to just keep ourselves on course with the river. I'm not even sure what its airspace is. I'd probably avoid it if I did, but I didn't look that up ahead of time. Chances are, though, I would most likely have to deviate around Dawson Army Air Force Base there. Not even sure if it's an active station or reserve, but that looks pretty active to me, as far as I can tell. Lots of buildings there. I don't even know what they do. If you know what they do at Dawson, let me know. Dawson, West Virginia. Probably a helicopter facility. One single runway that long? I don't see a lot of aprons for aircraft. Let's see what the photo scenery tells us as we look down here. Probably National Guard, judging by this. I don't see any massive sets of hangars. Is it just a touch and go training facility? Yeah, I see one parking area there. I see what looks to be a helicopter marking on the ground over there that's been either photoshopped out or something else. I see lots of cars parked. Training site, maybe? I don't know. Can't tell from that, but looks like someone photoshopped out a helicopter. Anyway, heading southbound down the valley now. We're just going to be sweeping in here. It's not going to be too long a run for us. We're actually relatively close to our course, but I just think taking the river is a much more scenic location, a much more scenic trip for us as we come down here. But Cheat Island, from what I've seen from Kevin, and I did fly out to there a couple of times and play around, it's a really cool little location, and it gives us a ton of flying potential to really enjoy. He's made some cracking ones before now. Of course, we've had Uncle Bob's in Jamaica, and we've had one or two others by him in other locations that have been a ton of fun to fly around. But West Virginia, like I said, is a part of the country I've never flown in, and when someone puts out a great little bush scenery, I want to go try it. It's exactly the sort of thing I'd like to fly. Now, do I go all the way around the river here, or do I just pop across this crest? We'll pop across the crest, because this bend is obviously the river winding its way through the strata of rock, and we can go straight. We have that ability with wings, which is always a nice thing. I've been so pleased to see so many of you guys commenting on videos recently. It's really great to hear from you. I did actually want to take a second to talk about one of the recent reviews, which was the H35, the Bonanza. Now, I gave it quite a high score, and a lot of people noticed issues with it, and I did too, but not being a mega Bonanza nerd, I didn't spot the nose difference there, and I was surprised, but at the same time, with the Debonair that same developer released previously, they made a ton of updates. Like a ton of updates, including fixing a number of physical things with the model, which most developers I've seen haven't done. So I have faith that they'll do some updates to that thing, but a number of people are like, oh, the graphics aren't up to Coronado standards, and I don't see them as a benchmark, because not only do they map things very badly, especially for people who want to do paint schemes, but they also really have a tendency to not give a crap after something's released. It's just out and that's it, which is a bit of an unpleasant one. River kinks around on us here. Wow, I've never really enjoyed seeing this sort of scenery, but no, the Bonanza, it's an aircraft that I've never been a huge fan of, but I also like it a bit more than the Debonair per se. And I found the interior looks better on this version than the previous. He's definitely gained some ability or learned some new things or tried different things. And I'm always more likely to give my money to a developer whose stuff is progressing than one that's plateaued. Because, I've got to be honest, the Coronado planes I've seen so far look like carbon copies of the FSX ones. They're latest FSX ones, of course, but still, they're carbon copies. They haven't changed. Which you think people would see some difference in a newer, later sim. I'm trying to work out what the sedimentary behaviour is that would create this colour, but I'm thinking it's due in mining. And how red the river ends up in places, because that looks like mining down there. Spoil heaps as well. This is, of course, coal country out in Virginia. So Cheat Island isn't too far ahead of us now. We should be arriving in short order. And we're going to have a bit of a play when we get there, because this place really sings to playing in an aeroplane. But I see evolving developers as far more potential and people I want to support more than the plateaued big guys who just pump them out again and again and again. Because let's be honest, these Coronado planes we're seeing here really have just been port-overs or remakes of their existing ones. I've not seen a huge amount that's new, other than the way you control certain things, like obviously there's no pop-up window to select the extras, so they put a tablet in there. But yeah, I'd love to see an A2A Bonanza. Are we going to see one? No. No time soon. A2A has got a couple of other planes that they've wanted to work on first, and I expect we'll see those first, rather than a Bonanza, as much as it would be something we'd like. Of course, we're looking at the, I forgot the name of it, the twin prop one. Yeah, the Aerostar. That's the one. There we go, the Aerostar. That's the one I believe is coming first to the sim. And that'd be cool. I'll enjoy it, but I don't think we're going to see things like the 172, the Piper, and the Bonanza anytime soon from that. So let's power back here. We are arriving towards Cheat Island. And we're going to take it down a little bit towards the valley here. Heading towards Rowlsburg, which is just up here with us, in fact. I think it should be around here somewhere. That is not it. That's a small village. But Rowlsburg should be around here. I think it was just back there behind us, that previous section of the valley. But there's a lot of developers creating new things, and I'm definitely keeping my eyes on some new releases that I've noticed, or announcements. Like, we know there's a Maul M7 coming, which I will be all over like a hobo on a bag of chips, fries, whatever you want to call it. Give me, give me, give me them all. We're expecting things like a Draco. We're expecting a Kit Fox, a proper Kit Fox, the Freedom Fox. There's the bridge, and I am flying over the airport right now. So I'm going to have to turn around here so we get a good look at this, but the airport's down below us there. You blink, you miss it. And I am excited, especially with things like the Kodiak and the Twin Otter. It is a good time to fly the bush, fly the backcountry. There are some cool planes coming out that are absolute kick-ass out here to really enjoy flying. I know a lot of people enjoy the airliners and want to just fly those either commuter or airline routes, and I will start doing commuter flying when Just Flight releases their Fokker, the Fellowship, the F-27 that's been announced for a while and no sign. And I will definitely be flying the ATR because it will give me a reason to do a little bit of airliner work, but in the shorter, to me, more sustainably palatable commuter routes of 30 minutes to an hour, where I have the time for it, because I don't have the time to sit here and do a 12-hour flight unlike some of my friends. Alright, let's get this baby turned around here and we'll come and take a look at the airstrip here at Cheat Island. But GA planes and bush planes specifically are my jam, because to me it's like going out and riding my mountain bike. I've got the big 29-inch wheels, I've got the huge shocks on that thing. It's the bush plane of two-wheeled pedal vehicles. I love going out and hitting the trails. That's so much fun. And bush planes to me are like an aerial version of that. It's something I'd love to do one day in the real world. GA flying has been all I will experience for quite some time, I fully expect, but the Sims allow me to experience that. So right, we come down here, we look for the bridge, should be just ahead of us. There's the bridge. And here's the first of our strips. We have one that's going to be just ahead of us here, on this side. There, and we have the main runway here. We're going to play on this one first, which will require me to spin around here and put her down, but the first bit of runway is there, which is quite cozy. And then we have the main drag down here with the hangar, and I believe about 1,700 feet of runway. So you see we've got a caravan there, a couple of other planes, so we've got all of this to play with. So it's quite a bit of room, but if we're analysing this in terms of our landing profile, we know if we have to go around, we're going around and to the left because of the terrain here and what it gives us. We've got the whole valley kind of curving around us. Now, both approaches are possible, but you have to make a curving final no matter what. So let's power on here, get ourselves around and set up for our first approach. We'll hit the first short runway and then we'll go around and we'll hit the second longer runway to call it a day. Enjoy some fine West Virginia hospitality in Ralsburg just down the road. But first we've got to land. And that bridge is going to be one of our contenders here because, as you'll notice now as we go past, this is a smaller strip here. Now, not a ton of room, and the bridge is right there. Let's slip somewhat so you can see it. The bridge is right here. So our approach is going to be like that, rather than directly over there. So we'll be shooting a bit of a gap, which will make this a bit more fun, I think. But it gives us some potential to really explore. And this being quite a confined valley, it really adds to that kind of spatial awareness you need to get an aircraft to behave itself at lower speeds and at kind of more tight confines. There's no standard pattern around these places. This isn't the sort of GA fly your box, get your $100 hamburger sort of adventures that you'll experience in many places. It's a lot more about stick and rudder work. Alright, let's get this bad boy turned around. We'll power off here, so we're going to descend a little bit into this approach. I know someone commented on one of my previous videos having a go at me for hearing a stall horn so much. It's not something I worry about. Once you know how an aircraft behaves, the stall horn is more of a suggestion. Right. We're going to bring it in low now over the river and use this as our guide. Now I'm not going to go into the kind of high nose, high alpha approach that I've used in the past with some flying where I want to make a very short stop. We should be good in terms of distance here. But I do need to just manage this approach on the speed. We need to have a little bit more than we have because our nose is kind of on the high side. Okay, no, I've screwed that wildly. Flaps up. Keep it moving. Try not to mess this one up. As I wildly do just that. What I was doing there, I was trying to manage my actual path because I was low energy, and trying to also manage my flaps, get those back up again quickly, because if flaps down, I'm not going to really pull as much as I want to, and not be as clean, meaning the aircraft's more likely to get draggy and stall and drop a wing. So I was in a position where I did not have the room I wanted, and I kind of stuffed that approach. Look at that dock down there, that old dock. That is super cool. Okay, so to re-evaluate this, I need to come in wide at the bridge and dip across. Okay, that's going to be a little easier. I need to stick further to that side of the bank. We don't have a ton of room to screw around with there, so... This is funny, I don't record something and I do it perfectly. The second I go to record it, I make a massive, massive dog's breakfast of the whole thing. Which is typical me. I'm not surprised. I love how much detail is added to the whole area. Look at all the rocks down there in the river. And the shallows. It's the little things, you know? They really make a scenery feel more whole. Especially when the area is this pretty. Alright. Get ourselves around here. I'm going to shoot this with a bit less flap, I think. Yes, 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 Stallhorn. Nobody loves you, Stallhorn. Ignore you, I want to go home. Thank you. Alright, let's keep some power on here. The bridge is there. Let's drop this down now, lose some speed. Let some drag collectors. Okay, we're looking good here. This is much nicer. Flaps up, and we are neatly slotted down. Look at that. Beautiful. That'll do the job nicely, won't it? We are down. Well, let's get this thing turned around, and we'll take off back to where we came. Winds are pretty low down in the valley, so we should be good. But we want to get out and then come back to the main runway. This is a playground over here. This is a playground to try something stupid like that. But it shows you what you can do on final with an aircraft as I ground loop, predictably. Okay. We'll get a short field takeoff out of this. So power on. Nose down. 1, 2... Pop flaps, and we are up. There we go. Flaps up, lower the nose. I think we're clear of the trees there. We are. Perfect. Get the aircraft out of here. See, once you get used to hearing that horn, you know you're close to stall. It doesn't mean you're at it. If that was the case, then that'd be a crap warning, wouldn't it? It's within 5 to 10 knots, depending on the aircraft. And it also does depend on the temperatures you're actually operating at, depends on the altitude. The stall warning can actually come a little sooner if the air is thinner and it's hotter. So you've got to be aware of that. The lift provided is variable, and you need to be much aware of that to make sure you don't get into a stupid situation. Now, I know it's pretty normal temperatures here as far as North American flying, and I know that the aircraft is not overloaded, and it is not hot or cold. So I know we're in a pretty safe position in that regard. So let's get ourselves turned around. We'll hit the main runway here at Cheat Island, put it down, and we'll go get ourselves some West Virginia grub at a local tavern or establishment of sort. And listen to some country music. On an old jukebox in the bar. Sounds like a good time, right? So this time we're going to stick more to the right-hand side of the valley because we're swinging in across that little secondary strip. Very much a bush playground, that one. We've got the runway inside ahead of us. So I'm going to let my speed boil off here. And make a relatively standard approach. We've got more room on this one, so I don't need to worry too much about that. I do look forward to having head tracking. It'll make this sort of flying a ton easier. There's the bridge, there's the secondary strip. Okay, let's roll it in nicely. Now we do need to come around a bit because this will curve us slightly on the final approach. 2 stages of flaps. More power. Let the aircraft hold its speed and attitude. I'm a little bit nose high right now. Speed to, or power to manage my touchdown location. More power. Let it curve round here on towards the final. Roll her straight. Touchdown. Beautiful. Hold it all the way back and apply some brakes. There we go. And she stops nicely. Just be careful to not hold them too hard. Otherwise bad things can happen to you. Let's get ourselves brought in back to the parking area now. The Husky is one of my favourite planes in this regard because it's something I'm very used to. It's small. I've got a really nice avionics suite in here which I really enjoy, and it gives me a lot of potential, as I love how it spawns tail draggers with their noses down. It's hilarious to see that. There's people camping. So this is backcountry aviation, a plane and a tent. Exactly what you want. Let's not hit the windsock. That'd be a bad start, right? We'll pull it up here to the hangar, which I believe is open, and I think there is a quest. Kodiak parts in there from the screenshots. Let's go say hi, shall we? Oh, they open and close. That's cool. Man, that is neat. You know what, we'll stop here. Seems like as good a place as any, right?
Caution, low fuel pressure.
I'm aware. I turned the magnetos off. Aeroplane, thank you. Let's wait for the sim to say something annoying like this. Nope, go away. Oh god, hello. What's in here? There's nothing in here. You lied to me. Wow, rude. I do like how those doors are animated though. I just wish they could stay open long enough for you to park the plane in there. That is super cool. I like that. Ah, the airport bathroom. A very important feature, I think you'll agree. Plus, I think the Husky, to me, and fight me if you want to, is a nicer looking cub. It's a cool little bush tail dragger that doesn't quite look as, I guess, old as the cub. I guess I personally seen them as looking a little bit samey. Every variation looks somewhat the same. This one looks like an NX with its tail stuck in the air. That's awkward. But this airfield is fantastic. There's your start of the runway marker, realistically, giving you all of that to land. It's a nice, simple, straight drag. I overcomplicate things because it's more fun. But you can come over the crest up here. Rather than curving round like I did and staying lower, you could come straight over here and descend down into this. It would be no problem whatsoever. And what a gorgeous view. Absolutely love it. Either way, thank you for joining me today on this little flight here in West Virginia, somewhere I've not actually flown before in my life, so I've really enjoyed today. Thanks for joining me on the trip. If you're not subscribed to the channel, go hit that button. Remember the notification bell as well if you want to see more reviews, my flights, and any tutorials and things I have coming up next. And I will see you on the flip side. Bye!